Leonardo DiCaprio embarks on a journey to a small coastal village where he meets Marco, a fisherman who has spent his entire life on the ocean. Curious about the devastating effects of pollution and overfishing, Leonardo joins Marco on a fishing trip. What he discovers is shocking: nets filled with plastic instead of fish, struggling marine life, and an ocean crying for help. But what happens next will leave you speechless. Inspired by Marco's wisdom, Leonardo takes action in a way no one expected. He launches a global environmental movement that reaches millions, sparking real change in the way people treat the ocean. Don't miss this powerful story. Stay until the end to witness how a single conversation can ignite a movement that may just save our planet. The ocean's call, fade in. The vast Atlantic Ocean stretches endlessly, waves rolling gently as the early morning sun rises. The golden light glistens on the water, creating a breathtaking sight. A small, weathered fishing boat drifts across the waves. On board is Marco, a rugged 65-year-old fisherman, his face lined with years of battling the sea. He casts his net, his movements experienced and deliberate. The only sounds are the crashing of waves and the distant cries of seagulls. As Marco pulls up his net, his face darkens. Instead of fish, it's tangled with plastic waste. Bottles, broken fishing lines, and plastic bags spill onto the deck. Marco sighs deeply, shaking his head. A surprising visitor. Marco's boat slowly approaches the dock of a small coastal village. Wooden fishing boats are tied to the pier, and the scent of salt lingers in the air. Waiting at the dock is a man in sunglasses and a casual linen shirt, hands in his pockets. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, the world-famous actor and environmental activist. Marco eyes him suspiciously as he steps off the boat. Marco, gruffly, "You're not from around here." Leonardo, smiling, removing sunglasses. "I'm here to listen. People say you've been fishing these waters for over 40 years. I want to hear your story." Marco studies him for a moment, then shrugs. He gestures to his boat. "Marco, you want to hear the ocean's story? Come aboard. See it for yourself." Leonardo nods, stepping onto the boat. Out at sea XT. Open ocean. Later that day, the boat bobs up and down on the open sea. Marco stands at the helm, steering with ease, while Leonardo watches, taking in the endless blue horizon. Leonardo, genuinely curious. "You've spent your whole life here. How has the ocean changed?" Marco doesn't answer immediately. He cuts the engine, lets the silence settle. Then, he points at the water. "Marco, 30 years ago, I could throw a net in here and pull up more fish than I needed. Now?" He sighs. "Now I pull up garbage." Marco grabs a net, casting it into the sea. After a few moments, he hauls it back up. It's filled with more plastic than fish. Leonardo stares at it, troubled. "Leonardo, this is heartbreaking." Marco nods. "Marco, the ocean's giving us a warning, but no one's listening." Leonardo picks up a crushed plastic bottle, turning it over in his hands. His expression hardens. This isn't just a story, it's reality. A harsh reality. Marco guides the boat further out, where the water looks crystal clear. But as they drift, something becomes obvious. Dark shapes floating beneath the surface. Leonardo leans over, watching a sea turtle struggling to escape a tangle of fishing line. Marco quickly grabs a knife, cutting the animal free. The turtle swims away, but its shell bears deep scars. Leonardo clenches his jaw. Leonardo, softly, but with determination. "This isn't just a problem, it's a crisis." Marco watches him, reading the genuine emotion in his eyes. "Marco, you have power, boy. More than me. People listen to you." A beat. "So what are you gonna do about it?" Leonardo grips the plastic bottle tighter. He looks at the horizon, as if searching for an answer. A call to action. Later that evening, back at the dock, Marco and Leonardo sit on the edge of the pier, watching the sun set over the ocean. Leonardo holds a notebook, jotting down notes. Leonardo, I want to share your story. The world needs to see this. Marco chuckles, shaking his head. Marco, you Hollywood types, always thinking big. Leonardo smirks, but then his face hardens with conviction. Leonardo, this isn't about Hollywood, it's about survival. Marco studies him for a moment, then gives a small nod of respect. A montage sequence. Leonardo speaking at a major environmental summit, sharing Marco's words. Footage of plastic-filled waters, marine animals struggling, and shrinking fish populations. A viral campaign starts. Hashtag Save Our Oceans Trends worldwide. Marco, back on his boat, smiling as young fishermen in the village adopt new sustainable practices. Fade to black. A final quote appears on screen. We do not inherit the ocean from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring content. Let's protect our oceans together. See you in the next story. Leonardo's powerful speech on climate change setting. A massive environmental summit with an audience of activists, scientists, and journalists. A large screen behind Leonardo displays disturbing images of ocean pollution, plastic waste, and declining marine life. Fade in. Leonardo DiCaprio steps onto the stage, adjusting the microphone. He looks at the audience, his face serious but filled with determination. Leonardo, firm, passionate. For decades, we've treated the ocean like an endless resource. We've fished without limits, polluted without thinking, and ignored the warning signs. But the truth is, the ocean is dying, right before our eyes. The crowd listens intently. Leonardo gestures toward the images behind him. Turtles tangled in plastic, bleached coral reefs, and fishermen pulling up empty nets. Leonardo. I was out on the ocean with a fisherman named Marco. He spent his whole life here, yet he says he's never seen it this bad. His nets used to bring in fish. Now, they bring in plastic. Leonardo pauses, scanning the room. Leonardo. And make no mistake, this is not just about marine life. This is about us, about the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the world we are leaving behind for the next generation. A slight murmur spreads through the audience. Leonardo steps forward, more intense now. Leonardo. But here's the good news. We can still turn this around. We still have time if we act now. We need governments to step up, industries to change, and every single one of us to take responsibility. The crowd starts nodding, some even clapping. Leonardo raises his voice, a call to action. Leonardo, this is not just my fight. This is your fight. This is our fight. The ocean has been calling for help. Will we finally listen? The audience erupts in applause. A movement has begun. Marco stands alone on the deck, gazing at the ocean. The waves ripple gently, carrying a quiet sense of change. He takes a deep breath, feeling the salt in the air, the familiar breeze. This has been his home for decades, but for the first time in years, he doesn't feel hopeless. Close up on Marco's face, weathered, wise, and at peace. A small smile forms on his lips. The camera slowly zooms out, showing Marco as a small figure against the vast, endless sea. A final narration plays in Leonardo DiCaprio's voice. Leonardo, VO. One conversation, one voice. That's all it takes to start a movement. The ocean gave us everything. Now it's time we give something back. Fade to black. A quote appears on screen. We do not inherit the ocean from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring content. Let's protect our oceans together. See you in the next story.